Hi guys, hope everybody's well, and this is my third video today. So it's a very quiet start to my video channel. I think the first one's not been viewed at all. Some people have looked at the second one. Second one's been talking about my top 3 bits of advice for somebody starting cancer. So I would say that shows me that people I wanted some help on those lines. So I figured that those things that maybe I can add a different view on might be a good thing to write about. I'm also going to, with full transparency, my husband and I are renovating a Victorian cottage in the UK. We started this last October after we came back from America. Rich, my husband, finished his last chemotherapy on the 1st of September 2023. We'd bought this house before we got the news of his cancer, and so we came back to the UK filled with trepidation. It was certainly, we were both completely different people from when we started out. And it was a really scary thing to start this, to wonder, could we do this? I'm really happy to work, but I would be the first to tell anybody I have no experience at all. Rich is definitely has always been a real handyman and has been able to fix things through the years. Cars, anything with the house, washing machines. He can usually, he would say budget. I would say fix it, because as long as it works, I'm happy. And for me, I mean, I'm a person that continually changes rooms and paints rooms, because I just must get bored easily until I find the right thing, and then I'll settle with it. But I'd never undertaken anything like this before. We bought it because at the age of over 50, we felt like we were getting old, getting predictable. And we also have been living in Austria for 20 years. We always said that once our kids left school, that we would come back to the UK. It was far more my dream than Rich, because Rich loves walking in the mountains. Rich has made many good friends through his work. And we kind of found it difficult because the house prices had shot up here, and we thought, can we actually get back? And then a series of events, and I'm sure I must believe in fate truly, because there's things in life that just happen, and I figure they must be for a reason. So it was a neighbour of my mum's that's brother had died, and this house was now empty, and he found the whole thing really stressful. And so we said, would you mind if we went and looked at it? And he said, absolutely not. But he said, it's a real mess. And the house actually hadn't been touched for, well, the garden hadn't been touched for, I think, about 50 years. The house itself was in a dire state. There were still the single pane windows, which I have no idea how old they must have been, at least 30, 40 years old. There was no heating. There was one old cooker, a sink, and nothing else was in the kitchen. Nothing else was anywhere else. There was a downstairs toilet, which is dire, and an upstairs bathroom, which was quite terrifying as well. And if anybody of you are interested, we have a different channel called Bramble Cottage Renovation UK, and you can watch our progress on there. But we started this reno thinking, can we do this? And it led me to think about things. When Rich had this cancer diagnosis, we truly didn't understand everything else. We were so busy helping. I was so busy helping Rich through it. He was so busy fighting the cancer. We couldn't think anything more. And when we started, the chemotherapy, I remember, I remember Rich saying to me, the halfway, first of all, I've got to get to the halfway point. And then we're kind of thinking, end of chemo, then we can go and get on. And I remember for me, to get to the halfway point was it was almost crushing. I think even more than Rich, strangely enough, because I suppose for me, watching Rich, I assumed I would get to the halfway point and think, we're halfway there and we can do it. He's really got this. Whereas in reality, the halfway point is it's getting harder and harder, and it can only get more so. Everything is going to get worse and worse. And so I found the halfway point really daunting. At the end of the chemo, so this is 6 months, and Rich had a really, really aggressive form of chemo, and each chemo was at least 4 hours long. And we were told because he was fit, he was able to tolerate such a high doses of this medicine. But as a result of that, he was hit really hard. I'm sure everybody's hit really hard, without a doubt. It's yeah. But I think it led us to so many different things. And when he finished the final chemo, Rich and I were on our own. But there was no celebration. There was just this weary feeling of, oh, that's done. That's it. There was no euphoric there was no euphoria. There was no, wow, this is great. Because the reality was, he was a wreck. He was somebody that went from walking at least 5 miles a day to just managing a few steps and having a constant pain. So we came back to the UK and we thought, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? How are we going to manage this? And I have to have this as a message of hope for everybody, because when I look back, when I see these videos that we've done, and when I see the progress that Rich has made, it is truly inspiring. My whole life, Rich has been a really strong partner and husband, and the real person that I always have gone to for anything. He's always given me the belief that I'm capable of doing everything and encouraged me to have a go at everything. But I always thought he was the strong one and he could sort stuff out. And so to have this huge role reversal of me having to do everything for him, and I had to drive from Minnesota to Texas and back a few times while having this poor husband, and trying to care for him. And so it was so different. But what I really want to say from this is there are so many good things too. For one thing, I realised I am so much stronger than I ever realised. I really think if somebody said, you're going to do that, you're going to drive from Texas, even that alone, I would have said, oh no, I don't think I could. I'm sure I couldn't do that. And if somebody said, this is going to happen, but to your husband, you never quite know how you're going to react. You truly don't. Now, I have to say that before Rich was diagnosed with cancer, through a very routine x-ray, he was found to have a massive tumour between his heart and his lungs. And we were actually told he had 3 to 6 months to live. That's the most devastating news I've ever had in my life. And whether that then gave us the strength that actually I remember Rich being grateful when we finally found out it was cancer, thinking, okay, we've got this, we can do this, rather than, I guess, 3 to 6 months. So whatever we had from that moment was a huge bonus. So one wonderful thing was we realised the strength you can have in you and what you can accomplish is incredible. Truly, truly incredible. So it's a really, really positive thing from it. The other really, really positive thing is I would have told everybody our whole life, that Rich was my better half, and we used to laugh. And Rich has a real love for honeycomb. Absolutely loves it. And his day is going to be the most magnificent day if he gets to dip his knife or his spoon in his honeycomb and spread it on whatever. And so I would laugh, and he was my Winnie the Pooh, and I was like Piglet or Tigger, because if I have coffee I tend to bounce around a lot. But this has made our love for it, I just could shout it from the rooftops. I remember the doctor saying to us, you can't guarantee through your emotions through cancer, but also, when you're a husband, whatever flaw you have in your marriage, it can be so apparent. And not everybody makes it through this. And I remember being so shocked and so, that's just crazy. The reality is, I can truly understand that now, because very early on, I realised that I would have to treat Rich in a very careful way, because it was a huge thing for Rich to lose his strength, to become dependent on me, whereas he's always been an old-fashioned guy that likes to look after me. And it was a role reversal. Now, I can think of somebody very, very close to Rich who would swear every day that her husband is alive because she nags him. Take that as you will. But I knew that if I nagged Rich, we wouldn't have survived it. I was able to tell with Rich really early when to just be quiet, because when it first started, I would stare at him. I could never leave him while he had his chemo, or I would go for a walk and he would say, go and have coffee, because it was hours and hours, and he would usually sleep. And I couldn't, because for me, it felt so wrong that I should go and enjoy myself. I couldn't sit because I was anxious. So I would walk, and then I come back, and then he'll go, and even without opening his eyes, he would say, you're staring at me again. But we got this rhythm going where I knew that if he needed something, he would ask me or tell me. And I knew that I needed to give him some space and not crowd him. And so we muddled along, and I am just overwhelmed. I just love him to pieces. He's my whole world. So that is a real positive I will take from it. I will take that I will never ever take things for granted again, and it's still with me, and that has been a good thing. Another thing I can say that's been a really good positive is how many of us all out there or work, or put other things first or put things off, and then you have this and you realise you can't just plan ahead in the next 5-10 years. You have no idea. Now this, for people watching our other channel, will know this is not quite as easy. As we said, one of the last things we did before we left the States to come back was, we really are going to work at this work-life balance and our reno at Bramble, but we must make sure we take time for us to enjoy those days. We've been failing a bit on that, but we know it and we will work on it. The only thing I will say is I still, even if we haven't gone and done something, I'd just love to be with him, unless he's driving me mad. And then, So I would say another great thing is to learn, don't plan for years ahead. Really don't. If there's something you want to do it. Everything else will fall into place. I truly believe that things are meant to be the way they are for whatever reason may never understand. But at the very least, live it and don't put off, don't worry in 5-10 years time. Do it for now, because so many times in our lives with him, once the kids leave home or once we do this, don't. Just as long as you have enough money to afford to do whatever, or you want to, go for it. I've always said to my kids, try whatever, as long as it's legal, sensible. If you want to travel, travel. If you want to try this for a job, try that. Study, whatever. You will never fail. You can just say you've tried. And I really hope, that's what I've told my kids their whole life. If they move somewhere, they've gone. They're all over the world, my kids. And I've always said, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't matter. Don't fail. You've tried it, which is so much more than so many people. And I think that's truly, we all need to live by that, to really appreciate each day, and to think if you're not happy, then you can have the power to do something about it and to take control of it. And all I know is that we have had a truly hell of a time, terrible time. But every single time when that day's bad, we always know, guaranteed know, somebody is in a far worse situation than we are. You can always say that when you feel sorry for yourself. You know somebody's having a far, far harder time than you. And, the sun's shining. It has been such a crazy day today. We've had torrential rain, thunder, lightning. Now the sun's out. You never know when the sun's going to come out again. But don't put off and truly appreciate every day. And if you are unhappy, start talking, asking friends. Work out what would make you happy and then work at making it work. My dream, we're doing up a cottage, and I want to do it up to say, I can do that. And to prove a load of people that said Rich is doing everything, to say, no, I worked alongside him. And I did those things with him. That will give me the confidence. And I want to end up to turn around. And then I want my dream is to have my little house by the sea. Doesn't need to be big, teeny tiny, but my house by the sea. That's my dream. And I'm going to do everything in my power to make it possible. So I can at least say, no, I am working for this. I'm working for this. And then with all the mistakes, bodges we've done at Bramble, my new house, which will need renovating as well, because that's how we can afford it by the sea. Everybody can watch us do maybe a slightly more professional job on that one. So this is my quick video, my little Bramble ramble. But I just always want to tell people that there's hope, and all these things I can talk about, that there's definitely, we've all had really hard times, but there's also so many good times, and sometimes good things come out of really tough things. And I found, even with the YouTube, these people, there's so much support there. And when you reach out and give positive support, the world is such a better place. It truly is. So I hope that I can inspire you today. I hope I can lift you. And let's wait and see what my next video has, and see if anybody watches this. Let us see. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you do, take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.